Okay, guys. So, hey, welcome back. We have been recording this episode. We've been recording this episode for the last 3 hours.
Just this one.
Just
hard.
this one. We're never gonna get out of here. We're in podcast purgatory.
Helps. It helps tend to help.
Yeah, this podcast now for over 20 episodes, and I was just curious as to like some of your favorite moments or moments that like really stand out, where you feel like, oh, we really got into the weeds there, or not. That sounds bad. we really got deep into the top.
But they were good weeds. They were
good.
Wait.
Good weeds. We got into the good weeds.
Only if it's legal where you are.
Vancouver's known for its good weeds.
That's good weed.
It's good weeds.
Singular, uncountable. Yeah. Where we really got like maybe into a discussion that was sort of like thought-provoking and interesting, that helped like change the way you play or your table, or maybe just something where we just got a little silly, and that's a quite memorable moment. Anything that sticks out from our milieu of episodes?
Ooh.
It seems like the marshmallow thing has really stuck.
I mean, why wouldn't it?
We keep on referencing
That's what marshmallows do. They fucking stick.
Oh God! I mean, if you turn them into napalm, they certainly do.
Sticky napalm marshmallows. S&M. Wait, what?
Oh.
No, sticky napalm marshmallows. S&M. It's a new brand of marshmallow. It will prevail.
Wow, brand of something.
BDSM marshmallows. They sticky.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Hey,
Oh my God.
I'm sure someone has that. Someone has some sort of a fetish for that.
Oh no, isn't there a thing of people who just like try to put as many, what's it called? There's like a party game.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
God.
you have to say great chubby bunny, I think it's called.
Chubby bunny, that's
Chubby
right.
bunny,
Right?
what? Oh my
Chubby bunny,
God.
and then all you do is like you put marshmallows in your mouth, and you just have to say chubby bunny, and like for the first person who just like gives up, like loses or whatever, right? That's the game.
Yep.
It gives me
I've
like an
played it.
anxiety attack just watching that thing, because I feel
my
like
God,
puke on. Oh, it's so gross.
We need to do this for our Patreon, Chris.
Okay, I'm down.
Patreon supporters,
Totally
find
down.
the link in the show notes. We're not playing Chubby Bunny. Oh God damn it! What have you roped us up into?
Hey, it's better than the
Oh,
cinnamon
my
challenge from our youth. You remember how
Nope,
bad that
not
was?
gonna do that.
Well,
That's potentially dangerous though, that one, right? So
the cinnamon challenge.
oh
my
yeah.
God. You
Is it?
you remember.
It's cinnamon in your lungs.
No,
This
I
was-
remember. I remember it.
our
I remember.
original
I didn't know it was.
campaign.
I didn't know it was dangerous.
Oh yeah, because sometimes people inhale it.
Oh,
It's
Instead of just putting it all over your kitchen.
yeah, right.
It goes one way or the other.
Look, stop derailing my question. The question I asked was what things that we had done in this podcast that you like. Now you went too far backwards, or are you going too forward? What are we going to do in the future?
Okay, I got an answer for you.
Yeah, good.
Just like with the same energy that we have right now, apparently.
Yeah.
The top 10 episode. It was so fun to see our differing
Oh.
opinions on things. That was quite delightful. And none of them were wrong. They were just like so unexpected. I mean, Chris had a problem with orphans. I mean, I remember that distinctly.
Wait, what?
I think it was like the overrated
It was,
one of the overrated things. Yeah.
when everyone's PC are orphans.
The way you make it out, it's like Chris is like a villain from a Charles Dickens novel. So, oh, those orphans.
Those orphans.
Get them out of my house. Get them out of my house.
I mean, he did have a thing against orphans. I mean, orphans
It's
exist.
true. I guess so.
But you were 100% right. Oh my God! Please, no orphans. Your backstory, or don't be an orphan, or something. I don't know. Just do something different. Challenge yourself.
We're really alienating all of our orphan listeners.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair though. They're accessories. That's when there's a problem. If they actually had real substance to the character you built, go for it. Go for it. But when they're literally just like the chihuahua in the handbag for a little sympathy vote, please don't.
Well, a lot of people do it to make their characters seem cool and not attached to the world, right?
Moody.
Oh, moody. Yeah.
I'm gonna be the silent protagonist. Like, wait, orphan accessories? Like, what is what is that?
We've talked about that
Well,
before. Like familiars can be that way too, where it's just like somebody just wants the cool animal, and that's fine. You could RP with that, but it's just like
cool
they're kind of an
koi?
accessory.
Three
A
RPG
koi?
hot take from Sandra Rosner. Familiars are orphan accessories, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm saying they shouldn't be, but they typically are.
They typically are the Chihuahua in the handbag. It's got a disguise. This shit. What's the check? What's that check called? Deception. Yeah,
Deception.
it pretends to be a dog. Yeah,
Bluff. Bluff in
bluff.
Pathfinder
Bluff
terms,
and
or in
Pathfinder terms.
3.5.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of deception and bluff, today's topic is religion.
Oh
Whoa!
no.
Oh my!
Okay.
Whoa! Let's reel that back.
A little bit, just a little.
Reel that back.
Wait, okay, look. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it's not. Let's face it. It's not real. It's not real.
I mean, and I guess that's part of the conversation here is that it is quite real to a lot of people and perhaps to a lot of your players. So, some, we're going to discuss maybe the ins and outs of using religion so you don't have your table leave.
Thank you, Sandra.
With all of the tact and nuance that is people come to associate with the 3RPG podcast. But before that, who are we? Well, we are the 3RPG podcast. My name is Jay Underwood, your host.
I'm the hallowed Chris.
Hallowed, the hallowed, the hallowed. Oh my god. And I'm Sandra Rosner.
And today's topic is theology, bringing religion into your game. What you can do, how you can do it. Let's talk.
When do you introduce gods?
Good opening gambit there, Chris. I love it.
Yeah, I guess there's a
Um,
different answer between DM and player. So yeah, DM first. Go ahead. When do you like to see that pop up?
So I have a like my ground zero.
Your baseline? Ground zero.
Sorry, I can't.
Your
What
sea
were
level,
you
your
drinking tonight? Like
No,
the politically
no.
incorrect. Like
Sorry,
grape juice?
sorry. Yeah, religion. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, hmm. Yeah. Okay, redo. Redo. I don't. Somebody else take that question.
No. I want to see where you're going with this. So your baseline.
Yeah, my baseline is it can be the central premise of a whole campaign. I feel like when it's introduced is potentially part of the discussion of session 0, but I don't want to get hung up in the weeds there with that theme. That is, if the campaign is proving the existence or non-existence of a lesser deity or something like that, well then that it should be in the first session. If there is a character that's playing some sort of paladin cleric type who has a patron saint, as it were, and they're sort of central to the plot, you may wish to, at the beginning of introducing that character, start them off in their moment of repose, or when they're praying to their deity and what form that takes, and just give them that degree of characterization by showing through RP the rituals that they do. Do they kind of set up some ointments and incense, or prayer rugs and all that kind of thing. I mean, that could be a really just interesting kind of start point for a character who has a religious bent, right?
Mm-hmm. So you're saying kind of like if it's a pretty decent part of the story, or at least a decent part of a character story, definitely introduce that kind of right off the bat, so it doesn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, to draw out characterization, or to kind of get into the hook real quick, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. World building. It's all about world building. Religion is, as much as you will discuss what a tavern looks like, as we did in the previous episode. If you want to talk about, the goings on of a religion, or what a place of worship might entail, well, that's all part of the experience, right? So like start there if you want. The side note, asterisks or whatever, if you begin talking about a city as the player's adventure party moves into a city by explaining its religious edifices first, well, then that kind of gives it kind of front loads it a little bit, doesn't it? Saying that, okay, well, this is a very religious place, then perhaps. So one might be make use or be wary of that.
Yeah, usually I just do it based off of necessity. Almost every town or every city or any location that they go to will have some form of like religion, right? So that's whenever I plan any kind of like location, I usually tack on some sort of deity or some sort of not necessarily deity or some sort of belief system. So necessity.
In the world that I run, there's a strong sense of the way cultures sort of influence each other by having a shared border or trade route or whatnot. And so as the players, which right now in the current campaign they're actually getting to experience, are moving from one area to the other, they get to experience how sort of a religion that may be very similar in a whole lot of ways but carry a different name, like so all this like different kind of sectarian stuff kind of emerges, is part of the adventure experience. Is, oh, what's going to happen now, like what we go to this next town, and like what is there sort of some like religious infighting happening here? Is there sort of a head of state that is connected to the clerics that are in charge or what have you? And like where are the lines drawn between the gods and man and whatever?
All right, I want to hear this first from Sandra. In the campaign that you're currently in, what are the gods?
We played a very large world. I'd say it's like easier to ask where our focus is at any given time, because just like in any kind of, like, you look at history, how many religions are kind of colliding at any one time until you have air travel and things like that, right?
Mm,
So I'd say in the current campaign, we're dealing with a culture that's very anti-religious. We're dealing with one that was very religious and has now gone through a period of time where, like, the ruler basically said, "Oh no, that's all like heresy." So it's kind
A,
of
a,
like,
a reformation has
yeah,
occurred. Yeah.
but
okay.
there's still people who believe the old ways, and you find those in the outlying towns. And as we're kind of doing like foot travel or horse travel, we're coming against other cultures that have similarities, but you can see that divisions of mountains and things like that, wars have definitely let them have their own take on those religions over generations.
Mm.
So yeah, to add on to what Sandra was saying, in the world that I'm running, there are all the yeah, you kind of know where you are based on the type of religious belief systems that you're kind of encountering, and then how much kind of a guard you need to put up, or how careful you need to be, similar to the real world in a sense. And then there are the layers of belief systems. You've got, of course, the monotheistic religions, the pantheistic
Yep.
religions, and then within them you also have like the sort of the more archaic and historical religions that they've kind of birthed from, in a way, right? You've got the sort of like the
Mm.
Abrahamic religions that birth have all number, like that's like a tree from which the root system goes long and deep, that then fractures out into all the different branches, and it's very much that in our world as well. You could kind of,
Yep.
some of them can draw back to a same root, others, slightly less so, but maybe on the periphery, and so on and so forth. But there is illusion to the kind of lesser deities, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Um, the agents who act in the name of a god,
Yep.
uh,
I
Mhm.
understand.
Like
who
avatars
the
and
They're
avatars.
heroes and
That's
avatars.
the
Yeah.
word. Yeah, the avatars are there wandering about from time to time, but it's always left with a little bit of ambiguity. Because when you've got a world that has magic, if anyone has magic, are they not in a sense somewhat, you know, uber powerful in this sense?
Yeah.
How about in your world, Chris?
Well, mine follows more of a huge pantheon of deities. There's just like I have the higher deities, the middle deities, and the lower deities, and
Middle
there's
management.
well, most of them are middle.
You're so mid.
Like kind of like the lower ones are often like centralized or localized in a very specific area, and they're maybe not known like around the world. But then the middle deities, most people may have heard of them, and then the higher deities, they're the ones that they're the big 6 or 7 of them. So, um, what they are kind of like higher beings. They're not necessarily like gods. They're higher beings that lend power to their followers, pretty much. In my campaign,
Mm.
and they've actually met some. They've actually like run into them. So they all have their own kind of domains, and in their domains they're invincible. So you cannot kill a god within their domain. But one of the story thread lines in our campaign is that one of the deities has given a tool to draw out deities from their domain so that they can be killed.
Oh, so like a candy van.
And then once you kill the deity, then the yeah.
Simmer down.
Sorry, that was pure.
That's my MO.
Once you kill the deity, you get the popsicle, pretty much. So, or you get the candy.
I mean, yeah,
So.
sign me up. I'm dead. I'm not going to survive as a deity in your world.
Okay, I love this, and I want to continue talking about this and how we can connect to the religious and the theology elements of our world building and of our fiction to sort of the mechanics and how players interact with it in just a moment, but after this. We come back to talk about how these ideas of world building within the framework of religion can affect your game or your players on a mechanical level. So what you were just saying before the break, Chris, it seems to imply that your gods gift the powers onto the players via magic or something like that. Is that true?
Well, like I said, most of the decisions I've made regarding the deities have been based on, like what I said earlier, necessity. A player came up with that concept, and then I ran with it, and then that has become an integral part of the campaign, really. Because he was one of my earliest players as well. He had this mission about killing gods, like going around to sanctuaries and killing gods, and I thought, okay, let's try that out. and now it's a part of it's a part of the world, right? It's
So yeah, I really like that. Try that out mentality, because I think George R. Martin has said that like he's sort of like a gardener rather than like a different style of writer, where he kind of goes around and he kind of just like sees where it goes and kind of prunes where necessary and trims back and blah blah blah. And I think I'm very similar in the sense that when a player comes in with an idea, like yeah, why not? That sounds great. I didn't think that would be a religion in my world, but now it is. You know what I mean? And then let's see what ripples follow from that. And I would definitely encourage GMs who maybe have a hard line approach to like this is gonna what it's gonna be about. To maybe consider thinking about how a player's idea might, like, let's say a GM has an idea that it's going to all be about this god, but then now a player has an idea they want to bring this other god in. Well, maybe that becomes the central conflict of the story now. That that now it's like this whole like what do you do with this new idea that kind of comes out of the world, like War of the Reformation, blah 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 blah.
So now it's kind of become a huge part of the world. This idea, like that player no longer plays with us, but anything that has happened within the campaign, I take like crazy notes about, and I like to always refer to these notes. Like my spreadsheet is absolutely filled with all the
so crazy notes. Is that like these are like cats with socks on and ants with top hats and Sasquatches doing cartwheels and just crazy notes.
A cat that has no arms in my campaign.
Oh, does he at least have socks? Give the poor thing socks.
Well, on his back paws, I guess.
He sits on a cushion all day long and commands people to do stuff.
I mean, most cats do. I don't think this cat is the worst for wear then.
Lesser deity. Tobin's the lesser.
Tobine's the lesser.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Long live Tobine's.
Long live Tobin's. Yeah.
The Lord of Doritos.
That in my world, no power comes explicitly through religion, though there are definitely heavily implications that religion gives powers. I'm trying to blur the natural world with the sort of like the divine.
Nothing is purely divine then in your world.
Well, Sandra, why don't you answer that one?
God, yeah. How, like, you start like kind of stretching the bounds of individual reality at that point, because if you have a magic user character who makes a shift from being a non-believer to a believer, and she has a certain power that now is being influenced by those new beliefs, can you now separate that out? Can you not say that, like, oh, well, that deity was the reason she has magic and now she's using it for their purpose, right? Like, it's a slippery slope of how you reorganize your natural world. So there's other situations in the world where people genuinely believe that their magic is from their deity, but it's clearly not. Everyone else knows it's not, but you keep that lie going because they're so faithful to the concept that it's their deity, right? To the point that you wonder, even if that belief crumbles, will they be unable to use their magic at that point? So it's kind of a strange thing that like faith and magic starts becoming so intertwined that if they have like a little mental break, either by faith or by magic or by whatnot, I'm not sure you can strictly say that they're separate at that point.
Players or listeners who are interested in like some Cthulhu elements might draw onto like what we're alluding to here a little bit. And I think one of the situations is like that exists in our game world is that idea that one of the deities might just be this monster, this creature that's pretending to be a deity, and getting them to all to do one thing with the aim of another thing, and then under the guise of all of this sort of like healing power and everything like that. And the idea of religion in my world came, I mean, obviously from like my own experiences with religion itself, but also from this idea of the leveling up mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons, which always felt to me a little wrong. I have a problem with level up mechanics just in general. I think we've talked about this before in certain degrees. And the idea that like, well, if you just keep leveling up, well, then you just become like you become godlike in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And so
you roll more dice and then they roll more dice, right? That's
I mean, again, a blurring of reality, right? If you are the most powerful creature on the planet, are you not a god at that point?
Yeah. And so I sort of just like took that concept and then like let it lead me to where I thought it followed. That okay, well, if that is true, then the people who have kind of have gained all of these skills might appear like gods within the world, and then that is part of the way that like deities for the certain characters who have not gone the way of like a cloistered character or a sort of very religious character, where we're study will say that oh, these were just historical fellows that found their way in the world and found dipped into a power that they've just became codified as deities. To make things more confusing, there are also organizations in the world whose very nature is to try to instill deities into the world, and that's their way of maintaining power on like a state or via borders. No, they exert power by installing these sort of like operatives into different countries, i.e. like the Bene Gesserit in Dune or something like that, and like taking these long form strategies of just like building up a myth and building up a culture that then believes in this thing that then they can then manipulate how they want once that sort of religion, quote unquote, has sort of taken root. And so that's also part of it. So you've got gods who are based off of like historical figures. You've got gods that have been kind of input based on but on nefarious agents, and then you've got other gods that seem just like naturally grow out of sort of like people trying to figure out
Yeah,
what the
trying
meaning of
to.
life and death is, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's a really good bridge though to like um I feel like there's a bit more freedom in a campaign. You have more time, more hours potentially to flesh out some of this world building. In a book, if you're going to be involving elements of religion, you kind of have to have a purpose. Otherwise, people are going to keep looking for the purpose. Why'd you drop religion into your plot, into your narrative, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know some of the reasons that you've or preferred reasons. Like you're both really experienced in doing this. You've had some hits and misses probably in the use of religion. What purpose do you think religion can or should serve in a really, well-run RPG?
Hmm. Like like I said before, it's mostly I need something, so I build it, right? Or like someone needs a god that they can believe in, or they want to play with this with the concept, right? And then that's when I start to talk with them. That's when we get to crafting a god for them, or like I kind of have like a bit of a system in that like if there's already a pre-existing deity that I can attach to them, or if I know that this town like is by the ocean, likely they're going to believe in like some sort of traveling or way seafaring deity, right? So
Hmm.
I've made enough of them that I can almost never make any more, but I still love making them. So I'll throw them in, and they'll just be like really small ones that you don't really the rest of the world doesn't need to know about, right?
They're like little outpost gods.
But on top of that, I do have a couple that are hidden from the world. So like I've peppered in like some that even the players don't know that it's connected to a god.
Oh, that's
I have
fun.
ones that have been intentionally hidden like from society because they're just too evil, or they're just like they do not fit with their societal norms. Um I've also some deities that have died that have actually been taken out.
Where does
Um
a deity go when they die?
The
Good question.
DMV.
No, no,
Oh,
no. Oh my God, don't
what
leave
sort
your
of hell is
realm.
this?
Not worth the risk.
GMs, world builders, players looking to play religious characters need to consider the kind of magic religion spectrum
Yep.
as one, right?
Hmm.
Like historical, cultural, might be like the other axis along that line, but they, I think that could really play into like how they believe, whether it's true or not, they do it. A lot of gaming systems have like the kind of the arcane role, the religion role, as it were. I'd also throw in the kind of Pendragon idea of faith, having a faith
Mm.
percentile role in
Mm-hmm.
there that can shift backwards and forwards. Something that could be really fascinating mechanic. If it's not in your game, maybe think about putting that in there because that could then, you know, lead to, now that you've got a mechanic for it, you've got moments where you could like lead to a situation when a character's faith is tested, and what do they
Yeah.
do, and does that, how does that affect or then change the manner in which their magic sort of happens upon the world, as it were. um so these are the things that we're talking about. I know we're not really talking about the kind of specifics of any one religion. I think that's for the best, because it's such an ambiguous thing that we're all kind of like curious about. And I mean, I find great wealth of information and like story ideas come out of the reading of like just deep dives into kind of like Gnostic religions or the Vedic
Mm.
texts and all this, all different religions from different cultures that can just like, those stories can tell you so much and
About
be
yeah,
so
about the people
rich
there,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
in information. Yeah, yeah. I didn't really end with a question there. So a little religious pause, as it were.
Well, I really like what you were saying there about the faith like kind of a faith slider almost, because I think of our group, I'm probably the person who just tends to somehow gravitate towards religion more often. Maybe not the most extreme player having done religion, but there's faith or anti-faith elements in most characters. It's weird that the current one doesn't really have that. Like it's unusual for me. And I like the push-pull of faith, because if you're not getting any kind of sign that your devotions, your beliefs, your whatnot are working, and in fact you're seeing terrible things despite the efforts you put in to your deity or your faith system, you have to like worry about that with your character. There has to be the crisis moment at some point. When do they go, you know what? Either this isn't true, or I'm going to
I'm
switch to
all in.
another god. Yeah, or I'm all in.
I'm all in.
Yeah. So I find that finding those points along the spectrum, as you said, to be absolutely fascinating in a character arc. Because I feel like anybody who grew up with any kind of religion whatsoever has had those crisis moments, have had those questions, and have had those breaks potentially. So it's interesting to be able to re-examine them over years departed from those moments personally in a character, and be like, oh, maybe I would have made a different choice personally or whatnot. And with that comes also the concern that if you do have unresolved religion traumas, be careful. Be careful what you're exploring, because it can be kind of a powerful element to be experiencing with a character.
We will light some incense, pray to our local deities, and get back to you, and where we talk about how to build a religion from the ground up for your RPG game after this. Three RPG fixes, quickies, pew, pew, pew. Okay. Yeah. It's a quickie. We're in and out. You didn't even see us. You didn't even see we were there. We were today. We asked the three RPG fixes to Sandra Rosner, and the question is:
Have you ever played with anyone you don't like? Wait, is there a better way to phrase that? Have you ever played with someone you don't like?
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody has. So for me, it's the person who is the spotlight stealer. They just monopolize the time. But fortunately, the rest of the team usually gets annoyed with them too, and they get pushed out. So, if you wind up in the same situation where somebody's just absolutely taking all the glory, talk to your DM and be like, "Yeah, this just isn't working for me," and they're gonna want to keep you, not them.
Awesome. Go on.
Go on. During our break, we were discussing the psychology of cults and how difficult it is to try to distinguish between a religious organization, like you'd find in your communities, and a cult. And essentially,
same.
see,
Same,
that is
same.
not the case. But I was having a conversation with ZD, who was a guest on a previous episode, trying to define the difference here, and it is such a slippery slope. But one thing that we were kind of getting close to is who benefits. So if you're in a religious organization, of course, whoever's leading the organization is going to benefit. They probably have their survival off of it. The congregation pays for their housing, their food, their things, right? But the congregation should also benefit. So if you're in an organization, and if you ever have a question, are you in an organization or a cult? You should gain something, even if it is like community. Your whole community is benefiting from
How is this
volunteering.
different? How is this different from a cult?
Okay,
See,
a cult
that's
now
Jay's smiling.
is you look at the power structure. Usually the people who are part of it, who are at the lower ends, suffer. They're segregated from their families. They give up all their worldly possessions. They're not allowed to leave. There's a lot of psychological,
Yeah, but it's suffering with the promise of getting things in
and
the end, right?
that is true, and that's why it's so slippery. Because
Mm.
when you're
Mm.
on the inside and you don't know it's a cult, you do think, you have salvation elements. You have like, one thing ZD had brought up is that there's usually like a prophecy in your lifetime element. The end times are going to be in
Mm.
your lifetime, and we will do something for your benefit if you stay and do all this for us. Larger, less, or I should say, benign, more benign organizations. They do have an afterlife or a end times element a lot of times, but it's in the future. It's not something that's a complete oppression upon you that you need to 100% prepare for now. So that's the closest we could really tool it. And in all my research, even leading up to this, it's hard. It's really hard. It
Oh,
becomes a
that's
matter of personal
thinking.
perspective. What I think is a church, other people will think is a cult.
Yeah.
Um, and
Mm.
vice versa. So yeah, personal perspective. It's a big one on this.
I don't draw a hard distinction. It's all belief in magic, which doesn't exist. But that is definitely not the point of our segment. What we want to do is create just like all the real world religions. Sorry.
Oh
I'm sorry.
man.
A fiction
Oh.
to build a fiction. Come on. Build a fiction from which we can import a religion into the world. So how do we start? I mean,
Okay.
it seems to me the start point is like, okay, do you want a monotheistic one or a pantheistic one?
Yeah.
But maybe
My first
that's
was how many? How
yeah.
many
How many
are your
gods? How many gods are
how
there? Right.
many?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Next.
Pre-existing, or is this a brand new thing? So in
Oh,
your
nice, nice.
world, does it already exist? If it already exists, you can tack on a different name and add some cultural differences, and then just slightly alter it, and then it can be almost like an entirely new deity, but also the
Mhm.
same deity as another one. So that's, I guess, another.
I'll take that further and say, does it come from previous campaigns? If you've played long
Yeah.
enough that you've had multiple campaigns, do you draw from the past?
Pre-existing conditions lead you to be ineligible for anyway. Uh, yeah, okay, and then I suppose the next thing is the morality of that god slash gods.
Hmm.
Are they the kind of vengeful ones? Are they sort of are they savior gods? Are they go with start create a moral system within their gods? Are they representative of uh humankind, as it were, in your fantasy world, or are the gods representative of animal kind in the world, in a sense? So they all represent beasts and that, like,
Hmm.
So working off of that as well, yeah, like the morality, but also for me, I tend to use like the idea of like concepts. What is the concept? What are the domains that they represent? Right?
mhm.
I mean, I'll take that further to say, like, purpose matters. Like, you
Mm.
don't conjure up a whole being into existence if you don't have a problem you're solving or a mystery or some fear. So whether that be, you don't understand elements of nature that are scary, or you've had this massive tragic misfortune, like a storm just rolled through and destroyed your village, a flood, or whatever. How do you explain this if you don't have science?
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like a lot of fertile ground is for creating your
Kind of like
gods
the
and
idea of
pantheons.
why do people worship this thing?
The why always.
I love the idea that a GM should, if they're going to create a pantheon of gods, just like give that god a representation in a sense that, and maybe there's no representation, but if there are is rather a representation of that god, giving them a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Just
Oh,
stuff like a
that was my next
A
thing.
lot of
That's my next thing.
flair.
like make
Big pieces
them
of flair.
Give them
yeah.
some bling.
Make them like the cross dressers in a Miami strip club or something like that. Like totally make them
What? What?
Okay,
like
okay. If you have
the
a farm community
birdcage.
that has that, like,
Mm.
I'm gonna actually believe that god exists. Because where'd
But
they get that idea?
give them loads of stuff to hold, to have, a
Yep.
color, a pen, a quill, a bow and arrow, whatever. Like just and you don't even need to know what all that stuff is for, but the
Yep.
metaphor will be filled in by your
It's
players
good
as you go
branding.
along.
They need
And it's
good
good brand.
branding.
It's good branding. It's good branding. Exactly. And then you go from there, and next thing you know, your pantheon is up and running. And then you could have the people who argue that no, the purple vest is not the main point of the person's religion. It's the large Air Jordans that they wear that
Oh
are
God.
more important or whatever.
What? So yeah, some like iconic symbols for like the deity. Something that they can be represented in symbols.
Exactly. And then whatever
Purple
manner
vest.
of whatever manner your deity or the son or daughter of that deity happens to die, have every worshiper wear that around their neck as if it's not a symbol of the death mechanism.
Oh, oh my
I see where
god.
you're going.
I think
Understand, agree.
everyone
That
can
is
see
a
where you're
strange
And
going.
thing,
it's
yes.
in
Everywhere.
every polite room in North America, and it's just a torture device. And it's just there.
Just
We
imagine your
all
worst
just turn a blind eye. We just turn a
immortalized.
blind. Oh, sorry. Am I pushing this conversation in the wrong way? We're talking about religion. We gotta
Oh
have the
my
hard
God.
discussions here.
Okay, next, moving on.
Moving on.
How are they worshipped? I like to think about like how are they
Mm,
worshipped?
Oh, like
yeah,
the
The
ceremony of it.
rituals.
Right.
Yes.
exactly. What body parts are removed? What-
I mean, sacrifice is definitely a thing. Like, what do you give up to prove your devotion, right? Whether it's human, animal, worldly possessions, harvest, portions of harvest, like all
Potato
of these
chips.
things.
potato
No,
potato
no,
chips,
not
marshmallows.
our potato chip flavored
What
potato chips. No,
what do you
never.
offer, and what do you offer? Like, well, so the giving up could be in a way an offering in a sense, right? So like,
Yes.
Yeah.
the not making a distinction. So coming up with something that is not like we had a uh, uh, your characters went through a village where the earlobes of people were kind of cut off
Hmm.
as offerings for the spring festival or something like
Ugh.
that. You know,
Yep. And it was a great honor. They all wanted it, and I do air quotes right now. Like, you wanted it, but you really don't, because there's your earlobe. It's kind of,
Oh, what?
yeah.
and it doesn't have to be sort of as like dark or sort of grotesque as that, but it's sort of like maybe like a pilgrimage to receive a certain a flower petal or a spice to then bring back, and those who are in abundance of that particular spice are said to have already made that trek to the highest peak that is nearby or what have you, or to grab the eggs of a certain bird or something like that and bring them back and cook them on a certain day. And you take a thing that might be a normal everyday occurrence and just sort of like turn it to 11, and now you have sort of a religious thing.
Yeah.
My hatred of takoyaki is almost bordering on the religious.
Oh.
So like
Okay, I would walk at least a mile for good takoyaki. A
Right.
mile. A mile. Yeah.
Ah, they deep fry it here. Oh, what a tragedy.
They deep fry it, not
deep
just
fried
like
Yeah.
okay.
takoyaki.
Oh man.
So they don't do the proper rolling. It
Oh,
all comes out of a freezer and they just deep fry it. So
of
Right, but
course,
thank
of
you,
course.
over. Come on,
Okay, not
your game.
walking a mile for that.
Mhm.
Not pilgrimaging for that.
All right. Another thing I like to add is something strange. So like that earlobe thing is really strange, but like add something strange or interesting about the deity and their followers that just makes it a little off.
I think that kind of goes back to like the branding, right? Like if you want your religion to catch on, and ideally somebody's going to like again make a living or have the high faith and everything and want to see this spread, right? You want to bring in followers. Like you kind of have to market it well, right? Like if you just have really like creepy things as nobody's going to want to come to your church. Nobody's going to. So you do have to kind of give a little bit on that PR
Depends on
front,
your
right?
people. Depends on your people.
Okay, all right. If you just like flailing yourself, well, there's a group for you.
Yeah.
Flagellating yourself. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta find your peoples, I guess, right? That's there's a group for everyone.
Oh, whips are their main export.
That's
I'm
that's right. That's right.
yeah, we're the number one in the whip business. Um, I'm gonna throw in your population density. How
Mm.
how you present a religion to a like a city that has academics that have like a melting pot of different cultures and various political pressures and things. That's going to be a lot different than getting your religion into just a small farm here and there and there and
Yeah.
there. So yeah,
And probably with a bigger like a bigger population, the requirements are probably less, I imagine.
I'd say less and more because this would probably roll into another one of mine is what is your meeting place? Like in a city,
Yeah.
I feel like you'd have to have a large meeting place to accommodate as many people as possible. Um, smaller villages, it might just be a shrine on the side of the road that you all just gather around on a particular time. So, um,
That's true.
yeah, yeah, there's logistics here. Is basically the
Yeah.
answer.
Just trying to look for the
But
logistics in.
GMs do want to consider like how the religion sort of fits within the socio-political like
Hmm.
hierarchy of the
Yep.
society. Is it sort of like an equal partner with the state? Is it not? Is it the state? Um, is it simply like kind of like a cultural religion? And follow that thread forward, right?
And that's
Um,
usually important because I hijacked that concept in our first campaign where I basically like usurped power from another character who had political power and I had the religious power. So,
yeah.
Mm.
it's and I couldn't have done that as a player if I didn't know how vulnerable he was to it, right? So, yeah, having that set out and known for everybody on the table, that's a can be a real turn in the story.
Well, and how religious the city was that you could then use to rally support in
Yes.
your favor over the sort of like the current political incumbent, as it were. And so that was part of the
Hmm.
interesting intrigue that was happening during that storyline, which is really interesting. Right. Yeah, I think we've about covered it. Does anybody else have anything else here to add here that players might want to add in?
For me, I always add secrets and things that the players don't actually know.
100%. 100%.
I always throw in something that I know about it that they do not, and
Mhm.
I love luring that over them because it's supposed to be mysterious.
That's right.
Well,
Um,
I'm going to add a little contrast to that idea and say that when forming a pantheon in your world, you create a series of facts that this religion knows for sure to be true, that are elements of that religion that are in conflict with other actual things in the world, and then
yes.
and that's what brings them
Mm.
into direct conflict with them. So
Uh-huh.
rather than just the mysteries, they say no, but this is the thing. This is the way by which goddess X rules, and they espouse that tenet of their
Mhm.
religion that then comes into conflict with the people who are saying, "Well, that's not true," and they're like, "Oh, well, now where do they go
Mhm.
as a player? Did they back down, or did they push it forward?" And you got faith roles and religion roles and all that kind of stuff that can go down.
Oh, I'd say my last little metric though, is it goes almost back to the start of the segment, cults. How much fear is in that
Ooh.
religion, that belief structure, that everything? Like,
Ooh.
how much does fear have to matter in keeping that faith?
Mhm. Yeah. What are the roles of morality and sexuality and happiness and fear and all that kind of stuff? There's loads to explore that for sure. I agree wholeheartedly. So to end our episode on theology and religion here, I just want to ask one last question. What is the best God?
Oh my
And on that note,
god.
Um, um,
see you next week.
Oh, bye everyone.
Bye.